Hello, this is Ralph. I'm glad to have this opportunity, and today we're going to kind of delve right into hopefully the remainder of chapter 1. Last time we did verses 1 and 2. Today we're going to try to cover really the rest of the chapter. Anyway, let's go here to chapter 1 in Genesis and start out with the third verse. And God said, ha! You know, the first words that a baby speaks is generally like embroidered on a pillow, written down in a book. My baby's first steps, first words, first accidents, first day of school. Firsts are a big deal. And so here, how does God introduce himself? First recorded words, he said, "Let there be light." What an introduction. Light, from what I understand, is the most powerful source that there is. And that's how God introduces himself. In fact, if we go from the very beginning to the very end of the Bible, in Revelation 22, verse 5, it says, see, at that point, there's a new heaven and a new earth. It says, there's no longer need for a light because God himself is the light. So the very essence of God is light. Let's go on. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and he divided the light from darkness. All right, God's introduction. He called the light day, and he called the darkness night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. Then God said, "Let there be a firmament." The word firmament is an expanse, just a wide open area, okay? And let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. So you remember how in the very beginning in verse 2, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. So now, day 2, waters are being separated, and this expanse is put in between there. It's sort of like what we would call heaven or the sky, where airplanes zoom, 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 go through and all. That's what the firmament is. And listen to this now. There were waters underneath, obviously, waters above. Now, the waters above are of real importance from the way I understand it or the way I interpret it later on in the days of Noah. You see, what is the temperature of space? Man, I looked this up. It's 454 below zero Fahrenheit, okay? That's cold. That is, so the water that's up there turned into ice. So we have this ice layer up here, and then on the earth, we have the water. Okay, and God called the firmament heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. Then God said, "Let the waters under the heaven," okay, that's where we are, "be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And then God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the water he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then Lord God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth," and it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herbs that yield seeds according to its kind, and the trees that yield fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the third day. Couple of things. One, everything produced after its kind. Why is that important? Well, because we are being taught a different version of how life on earth came about. If things reproduce after its kind, then that would imply that the tomato seed did not come from a turnip green, or that the apple tree did not come from a string bean, because apples taste good and string beans, well, I actually like string beans. Anyway, then God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, for the days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth." And it was so. Then God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and morning of the fourth day. A couple of things real quick here. I thought there was already light and darkness. Remember, the first thing God said is, "Let there be light," and he divided light from darkness. Evidently, here we are now on earth, because remember the earth as the dry land and the waters were all separated. Now we're seeing a system being installed that actually rules and regulates day and night. If the sun had been just further away from the earth than it is now, we would all froze to death. Well, we could have never even been here. If it would have been too close, we would have burnt up had we had the chance to be here. It had to be the perfect distance in order for the sun not to burn us or be too far away to where we could actually have life here on earth. All of this order God put in place. Then God said, verse 20, "Let the waters abound with the abundance of living creatures. Let the birds fly above the earth across the face of the firmament of the heavens." So God created great sea creatures, and every living thing that moves and the waters abounded according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and in the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth." So evening and morning were the fifth day. Again, did you catch that? Everything according to its kind. And then God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to its kind, cattle and creeping thing and beasts of the earth, each according to its kind." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was so. A repetition of everything after its kind. The koala bear did not come about from a tomato. Everything reproduced after its own kind. And now, I love this. This is what I want to try to get to. Then God said, first of all along, the word God is Elohim. The last two letters, I am, indicate that it is a plural. And it's crazy how throughout the Bible, Elohim, even though it's three, it's plural, it's more than two, is always referred to in the singular. The God of the Bible is more than one, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, but they are one God, referred to as one. Here we have God, and he says, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." This, to me, is like an insight into a wonderful boardroom discussion, if you will, where God, the three, have a discussion, say, I know I would like to make something in our image, something that has feelings like we do, someone who can represent us, who's in our likeness. And then let that one have dominion over everything. Question. Do we, because we are the offspring of his first creation we'll look at in the next couple of verses, do we have dominion over the earth? I used to do and still do a little backpacking and hiking in the wilderness. There have been several times when we've had bear walk through our camp. Bears, I do not have dominion over. If you've been on a safari, I've never been able to do that. But when there's a lion, majestic, when you're in the zoo, my stars, when they roar, it resonates inside. Do we have dominion over them? No. Why? Because in the Garden of Eden, we'll get to, in the Garden of Eden, Adam gave that right of dominion to rule over the sea creatures, over animals, over the creation. He gave that right over to Lucifer. We no longer have dominion. But at this time right here, God said they can have dominion over everything. Rats, they blew it, didn't they? My stars, they sure did. Anyway, so here's the plan. Let's do that. Now is the plan executed. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Male and female, he created. Based on an evolutionary theory, I just have such a problem believing this. Let's say, you know, you've probably seen this model where this frog comes out of the muddy water and climbs up and then somehow becomes a man. How many millions of years or thousands of years or tens of that, whatever, did that man have to stay there before a female, a woman, crawled out? It just does not make sense. The thing that makes sense is that there is a man and a woman the way God says right here in the first accounts of Genesis. Let me go on. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." And God said, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. And to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is life, I have given every green herb for food." And it was so. And now listen. Then God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. So evening and morning were the sixth day. A lot of controversy that revolves around, did God really create the earth in 6 days? Well, here's what I believe. When Jesus referred to Moses, we have in Luke 24 and in John 5, in John 1:45. There are, from different authors now, several references. Jesus himself, let me read that one to you. It's Luke 24. Let me see if I can find it. Then he, Jesus, said to them, this is Jesus speaking, These are the words which I spoke to you while I was still with you, that all things must be fulfilled which were written in the law, which were the first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch, which were written in the book of law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms concerning me. You see, Jesus himself endorsed the writings of Moses, who is the pen of these first 5 books. There are other verses, like I said, John 5:46 and John 1:45, that validate, that's the word I'm looking for, that validate that this is the account, and there's no disputing that this is the way God did it. I don't understand that. I truly don't. But here's a key point for me, and maybe for you as well. As we go to the Bible, even things that we don't understand right away, I believe the Bible from cover to cover. If I start to pick and choose what I believe and what I don't believe, I can run into trouble, because then if there are things that I don't like, I'll just throw them right out. If there's things that I do like, well, I'll keep those, but I don't have that prerogative. The reason I believe the Bible, this Bible was written by over 40 authors. There are 66 individual books over at least a couple of thousand years. There is no discrepancy between all of these books, which leads me to know that this is impossible had it not been for an extraterrestrial being to dictate the words that are written in this book. God, who introduces himself with all power. You know, in the end there, it said that God saw that everything he had made is very good. He considers you to be very good. Listen to this. In Revelation, and we'll close now. In Revelation, it says that the angels and the elders are before the throne of God. It's a wild scene. And they say, "You are worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for you have created all things, and by your will they exist and are created." It is by God's will that you and I are here today. If you either learned something or you enjoyed hearing again about the magnificence of God, would you let someone else know? Would you, maybe if you can think of someone who could use a little bit of encouragement, to know that they are important to God, that they are in the design of God's story throughout history. Would you let them know? I appreciate you so much to listen and to watch this video, and I'll see you the next time, okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.